3 years ago, I discovered a secret. The key to getting rich isn't about living life at the extreme, like waking up at 4 a.m. to get ahead of the competition or taking a daily ice bath to wake up your senses. It's actually about forming micro habits, tiny habits that you follow consistently. These small habits compound over time and not only have a big impact on your finances, but also on your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. So in this video, I'm going to share with you 17 micro habits that have completely transformed both my finances and other areas of my life, and also share tips on how you can apply them to your own life as well. Let's dive in. Number 1, create more than you consume. According to the author of Rich Habits, The Daily Success Habits of Wealthy Individuals, the wealthiest people in the world create more than they consume. Thomas Corley's research found that 67% of wealthy people watch TV for 1 hour or less each day, compared to 77% of people who are struggling financially who watch TV for 1 hour or more each day. Instead of being glued to the box, think about how you can create something. When you create something, you develop your knowledge, your skills, your experience more than you ever will through consuming. So to make creation a habit, start small. Maybe just 15 minutes a day doing something that you enjoy. This could be something like starting that YouTube channel that you've been thinking about, writing short stories, or even learning basic coding or something through fun apps. Then to make sure you're on track, do a regular audit of your creation time versus your consumption time. It should always show that you're creating more than you're consuming. Number 2, create distance from the wrong people. There's a saying that is, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And this has really struck a chord with me. I can't stress this enough. If you find yourself surrounded by people who are always talking about other people or putting someone else down or complaining, find a way to create distance from that. Because as long as that's around you, you're going to absorb that thinking and it's going to be really hard to make any drastic changes to your life. You can tell how successful someone is going to be by the size of the problems or by the kind of problems they face. Find people whose problems are about how to build more wealth, the way they do it, how to solve a problem, how to overcome a challenge they're facing. It's hard to do this if you are just starting out. And I know 2 years ago when I was trying to find a place where I can tap into a new circle, I wasn't really able to be in the places that I was able to do that. So my closest circle became books, podcasts, YouTube channels. The internet makes it so much easier to shift your average. Number 3, create an I can do this file. I record almost everything. Whenever I achieve something significant, I write it down. Whenever I reach an important milestone, I write it down. Whenever I'm paralyzed by fear or doubt about starting something new, I write that down. I remember my first live session on this channel being super nerve-wracking, but I went through it anyway, and I saved the whole process from my fear and my doubt to how I felt after I did it, to all the positive feedback I got after it and how it was received. I put my entries into a tab on my Notion workspace labeled I can do this. And it's just a motivation tool that reminds me about how I'm overcoming things and what I'm capable of. Life has its inevitable peaks and troughs, and on my down days, just revisiting that file helps to put some pep back in my step and motivates me to reach new heights. Number 4, show gratitude. I used to think gratitude journaling was a little bit cheesy until I came across Dr. Sophia Godkin's work. And she really highlights that the secret to happiness begins with gratitude. So I started keeping a gratitude journal at 8 p.m. every evening. I get a notification from my Day One app. And I love using my phone for this because whenever the notification pops up, I can just quickly add an entry. And then I pick a photo that I've taken that day, or I take one at that moment, and I write the day's highlights and what I'm grateful for. It could be something as simple as getting the perfect coffee, or a thoughtful message from a friend, or making it to a workout. What I've learned is that your mind attracts what you focus on. When you actively look for good things, that's when life starts to shift. Instead of overthinking what went wrong, I'm always trying to notice the little things that went right. So if you want to try it, set a 5-minute evening reminder and just jot down one thing from your day that you're grateful for. If you're like me and you prefer digital over paper, highly recommend trying out the Day One app. Number 5, automate these 2 things. Warren Buffett famously said, do not save what is left after spending, but spend what is left after saving. I take this principle even further by adding investments into the mix. Do not save and invest what is left after spending, but spend what is left after saving and investing. For example, I've set up a system where every month a fixed portion of my income automatically is directed into my savings and my investment accounts before I could even spend a single penny. Doing this has benefited me in 2 main ways. Firstly, I consistently grow my finances without having to rack my brain trying to remember when to make manual transfers, especially when things get busy. And secondly, automating transfers means I'm less likely to make impulse purchases, like that limited time only that turns out not to be such a great deal in the cold light of day. Number 6, get specific. Every year, without fail, I write down one big financial goal, and when I do, I like to be really specific. Why? Because the more specific you are about your goals, the more likely you are to achieve them. So rather than stating a general intention like I will save more money, I tend to be more specific, such as I will save $30,000 for a down payment for my forever home by the end of 2027. So as well as keeping me motivated, I find being specific with my financial goals helps me break them down into smaller and more manageable milestones. So in my example of saving $30,000 by the end of 2027, I might aim to put away $1,250 each month in order to hit my target in 2 years. Number 7, audit these 3 buckets. I've made auditing my spending a cornerstone habit. Quarterly for my business and monthly, sometimes weekly if I can, for my personal accounts. And I categorize every expense into 3 buckets. Fundamental, which is your essential needs. Fun, which is your lifestyle choices. And future, which is investments in your growth and the future you. What I love about this is it's not just about tracking. Number 13 is simplify decision making. Steve Jobs was known for wearing his iconic black turtleneck, blue jeans, and New Balance trainers. And then when Mark Zuckerberg came onto the scene, he often wore grey t-shirts and jeans. They both had the same idea. They wore the same outfit each day to reduce decision fatigue, saving their decision making energy for more pressing matters. I've applied this to my own life by wearing a select few clothes during my working hours, or specifically during when I'm filming content. By automating these repetitive tasks means there's less friction in me actually sitting here and recording. It saved me a ton of time, but also a fair amount of money too. So think about what areas of your life can you streamline to try and buy back more time and more energy. Number 14, network with intent. I did a podcast recently with Chris Donnelly, who just launched a new business and made 10 million in his first year. And he made a really good point in that podcast where he went through a phase in his business where he was reaching out to 50 or more people a month or asking other people to introduce him to someone. And he really stressed the importance of the who factor in everything that we do. So while I did know this was a thing and I did know the importance of it, the way he scaled his business just made me realize how much of a factor it can be. I've definitely become a lot more intentional with it now, and I've been putting myself out there more and reaching out more to people who I'd love to connect with. You never know who that person can be that can unlock a new opportunity for you. And one thing to stress here is that it's not just about what you can get, but also about what you can give. So to truly stand out, have a think about how you can add value to the person that you're reaching out to. By being intentional and adding value, you can maintain and establish relationships that lead to incredible opportunities both ways, either immediately or some